Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest. The weekly national report on thoroughbred racing is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Thrifty Car Rental. Thrifty is a lot of car rental company for incredibly little. By Lane's End Farm, sponsor of the Thoroughbred Digest Trainer of the Month Award. And by the Naira Net, the New York Racing Association simulcasting network.
And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln. We're glad you've joined us for our racing recap show on the Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest. The headline story, of course, the retirement of the riding legend Bill Shoemaker. It took us to Santa Anita this past weekend. Here's our report. For the 40,352nd and final time, 58-year-old jockey Bill Shoemaker got a leg up on a thoroughbred. In 6 different decades, he has ridden to the post and then come back to the winner's circle 8,833 times, an all-time record. His mounts have earned a total of more than $123.3 million. The shoe had won over 1,000 stakes events, 11 Triple Crown races, and ridden 8 different Horse of the Year winners. His 41-year riding career started at Golden Gate Fields in Northern California in 1949. It ended on February 3rd, 1990 at Southern California's Santa Anita in the 5th race, the legend's last ride. Shoemaker, fittingly, was on the oldest horse in the field, 7-year-old Patchy Ground Fog, number 1A.
And they're off, and Shoemaker gets Patchy Ground Fog away quickly and clean, but toward
Bill's 2 most important fans, his wife Cindy and his 9-year-old daughter Amanda, looked on.
Bill Shoemaker on the outside challenging, and down the stretch he comes. Shoemaker on the outside with a short lead. O'Robbie charging up in the middle of the racetrack, but Shoe has the lead, 50 yards from home. Here comes Exemplary Leader on the inside. Exemplary Leader with Eddie Delahoussaye will win it by a half.
The 4th place finish didn't make any difference to Shoe or his fans. The ceremonies earlier in the day, usually unemotional Shoemaker had to pull himself up.
Anyway, I'd want to thank all these fellas behind me here that I've ridden with all these years, 30 or 40 years. I've had a lot of fun with them. Thank you very much. It did, really. I didn't think it would, but it did. When I turned and saw all those jocks and knew I wouldn't be around them, excuse me, that much anymore, it did get to me.
And while Bill Shoemaker had no doubts, no second thoughts about ending his race riding career, it's his peers here in the Santa Anita Jockey's Room that he's going to miss the most. For Shoe, it's always been a very special place.
It has. I've had a great time there. You know, kibitzing with the guys, playing cards with them, and joking with them, and playing pranks on them. They got even with me the last day, though.
Saturday was a celebration of a true sports legend. And from the Railbirds numbering more than 63,000 fans at Santa Anita to President Bush in the Oval Office, they all paid their respects to the Shoe.
It's been your drive and energy and spirit that truly distinguish you as a Hall of Fame jockey. Bill, best of luck.
At his home off Santa Anita Avenue, not far from his home track, in a room jammed with trophies, gifts, and memories, we asked him his timetable for becoming Bill Shoemaker, the trainer.
Oh, in about a month or so. I'm just not going to push it when it gets all together, and, you know, whatever time it takes to do all that.
You've been known as a man with tremendous patience as a rider. I guess that'll be needed as a trainer, too.
Well, I hope so. That's part of it, and I think that's one of the things that will help you with horses. If you're patient with them, they'll let you know when they're ready to do whatever they're going to do.
It can truly be said of Bill Shoemaker, he's the best there ever was, the best that ever will be. Lots of top racing this past weekend at the great race place Santa Anita. It's the site for this week's Breeders' Cup feature race.
This week's feature race is brought to you by the Breeders' Cup, promoting racing year-round with the Breeders' Cup Budweiser Special Stakes Program, the new Premium Stakes Program, and Breeders' Cup Day, racing's $10 million championship.
Our feature, the Grade 1 $500,000 Charles H. Strub Stakes for the 4-year-olds going 1.25 miles. Let's take a look at the field for the Strub. It starts on the inside with Splurger, Flying Continental 3-1 with young Corey Black, Super Ready, Exploding Prospect, the 4-horse. It's Quiet American at 2-1. Opening verse was Scratch, the 6-horse. Live the Dream, the 7 at 6-1. Hawkster with Russell Bays at 7-2. And rounding things out, Secret Slew at 10, Presidential, a real long price, and Crown Collection on the outside with Alex Solis. The call of the Strub Stakes, here's Trevor Denman at Santa Anita.
Field sent on their way in the Charles H. Strub. Exploding Prospect jumped sideways and bumped with Quiet America. Going to the early lead is Secret Slew. Flying Continental is right there. Now Super Ready is getting up to race in third. Hawkster has taken to the outside and he's running up alongside of them. Splurger is tucked in at the rail. Exploding Prospect now racing 4 lengths off the leaders. Live the Dream behind him. Quiet American is back third last. Outside of him we have Crown Collection and the trailer Presidential. 8 lengths would cover the field. 7/8 of a mile left to go now, and that's Eddie Delahoussaye and Secret Slew out there setting the pace. Flying Continental moving up on the inside. Hawkster is tucked in third. Behind that we have Super Ready, 2 lengths off the leaders. Then Exploding Prospect. Live the Dream is back in 6 in the red, just 3 lengths off the leaders. Quiet American holding his own in 7th, 4 lengths to make up. Then comes Splurger and Presidential. Another 3 back to Crown Collection. They head to the half-mile pole now, and Hawkster kicks on with it. Hawkster goes up to pick up the running. Secret Slew is racing in second, then Super Ready. Flying Continental now moving off the rail. He's right there, going well, 1.5 lengths off them. Quiet American now starts to pick it up. He's going to be forced to go wide. There goes Quiet American on the extreme outside. Exploding Prospect in there as well. The pressure is really on as they pass the 3/8 pole. Hawkster, but Quiet American is moving up, still under a hand ride from Chris McCarron on the outside. And there goes Quiet American now to take on Hawkster. Hawkster's not done yet though. He's got something left. On the inside in the white, it's Hawkster. Quiet American, Chris McCarron took a peep behind. He's confident. Flying Continental now becomes the danger on the outside. Quiet American, Flying Continental's coming at him. Hawkster down at the rail. Flying Continental and Quiet American head and head. Flying Continental's going to get there. It's Flying Continental and Corey Black to win the Charles H. Strub by a neck. Quiet American second.
Flying Continental going the 1.25 miles in 2:01 2 on a track listed as good at Santa Anita. Flying Continental is by Flying Pacer, the Carter Stallion, and out of Continental Girl, winning the Charles H. Strub Stakes. Now let's take a closer look at the running of the Strub with the Daily Racing Form's John White and with Flying Continental's young and excited rider Corey Black.
This was really an outstanding race down the stretch between the 3 favorites, Flying Continental, Hawkster, and Quiet American. They battled it out, and in the end, Flying Continental, responding to Corey Black's strong ride, asserted himself in the final strides and got the win, proving best on a track rated good.
Well, he broke sharp, and Jay just thought we'd be laying where we were the other day, and we were. And I got, I was in a little tight from the half-mile pole to quarter pole, but he was in the bit enough that I could keep my position, and when the opportunity arose for me to get a chance to get him out, we were right there and he was ready to go.
For Corey, his first win in a $500,000 stake. When we come back, we'll feature the return of some of the Breeders' Cup Day stars. Well, 3 of 1989's Breeders' Cup superstars returned to the races this past weekend. Champion older mare Bayakoa, Robert Clay's Gorgeous, and the Breeders' Cup sprint winner from the Phipps family, Dancing Spree. Here's a recap.
Bayakoa met up with Gorgeous in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, where the pair finished 1-2 respectively. But a rematch would not come this weekend as the two were entered in separate events at Santa Anita. Bayakoa's trainer Ron McAnally chose Sunday's $150,000 Grade 1 Santa Maria handicap for the 1990 debut of the Argentine-bred champion. Understandably, only 3 others decided to join her: Nikishka, Carita Tostada, and R.D. Hubbard's invited guest. With the call of the Santa Maria, here's Trevor Denman.
Bayakoa now out there leading it by 4. Nikishka is under the whip in second. Past the 8 pole they come, and it's Bayakoa in another one of these scintillating efforts. The Eclipse Award winner shows just why she's the best mare in America.
Bayakoa and replacement rider Chris McCarron glide home 3.5 lengths ahead of Nakishka for the 8th Grade 1 win with a champion mare. Regular rider Lafitte Pinkai Jr. unable to ride the daughter of Consultant's Bid due to that broken collarbone he suffered a week and a half ago in a spill during a charity harness race. Trainer Ron McAnally hasn't forgotten Lafitte.
She was in good hands with Chris, you know, even though Lafitte wasn't with her today. Those things to be expected sometime with these riders, you know, and unfortunately that Lafitte didn't get to ride her this time, but he will be back on her, you know, as soon as he comes back.
The filly that finished behind Bayakoa in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, Gorgeous, was entered by trainer Neil Drysdale and owner Robert Clay in Saturday's Grade 2 $200,000 La Cañada Stakes for 4-year-old fillies going 1 1/8 miles. Missing from the field, Jack Klugman's Akinamad, who romped in the Grade 2 El Encino earlier in the meet. Only the 3rd horse to ever attempt to sweep the La Cañada series at Santa Anita, Akinamad was scratched in the morning because of a fever resulting from a low-grade infection. With Akinamad in the barn, the La Cañada became just another jaunt around the track for jockey Eddie Delahoussaye and Gorgeous.
Heads a turn for home, and it's Gorgeous still on a hand ride, leading it by 2.5. Luthea's Launches trying to make a race of it, but Eddie Delahoussaye still motionless on Gorgeous. And here she comes, just an exhibition run here. This daughter of Sluagh Gold might as well be out for a morning workout. She absolutely cruises in.
Just what trainer Neil Drysdale and owner Robert Clay were looking for in Gorgeous's first start of 1990. A nice, easy win. Gorgeous, the daughter of the champion Sluagh Gold, standing at Clay's Three Chimneys Farm in Kentucky. Now to Florida, where the Phipps Stables Dancing Spree returned to the races Sunday at Gulfstream, the site of his greatest win to date, the 1989 Breeders' Cup Sprint. Things didn't go as easily as they had out west for Bayakoa and Gorgeous. Dancing Spree was left at the gate after he broke poorly from the 3-hole, turning the race immediately into a game of catch-up. But catching up is what Dancing Spree does best, as he comes through the stretch almost exactly the same way he did in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. But in deep stretch, the Clint Goodrich-trained Pentelicus halts Dancing Spree's charge by drifting over in front of the son of the Nijinsky II, a move that quickly got him disqualified and placed second. After Dancing Spree was awarded the win, veteran rider Angel Cordero Jr. said it was the quickest disqualification he had ever been part of. Well, an update on another Breeders' Cup headliner is not so good. The Eugene Klein-owned D. Wayne Lucas train On the Line, second choice in the sprint, had to be destroyed because of the injury suffered in this incident just after the start of the sprint race when he suffered a deep cut on his right front leg. We got this update from D. Wayne Lucas on the loss of On the Line, a colt that had earned more than $1.1 million.
Well, unfortunately, we were able to probably lick the infection that happened through the injury in the Breeders' Cup, but then complications started to set in the good leg because he had to carry all the weight on that leg so long, and then we finally ended up with what was a multiple set of complications, mainly founder in the good leg, and eventually it was just inhumane. We had to put him down.
Stay with us. We've got more racing from across America when we return on ESPN's Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest. Welcome back on the Digest. We're still in Florida, ready to take a look at one of the Phipps Stables' promising young 3-year-olds as he heads to the track for a 6-furlong allowance race. His name is Polish Numbers. There on the inside with jockey Craig Perrette, dressed in the familiar black with a cherry red cap of the Phipps family. On the outside, though, in the white, the Ben Perkins-trained Nice Ruler. These two come down the stretch together, but at the wire, it's Nice Ruler getting up by a neck to beat the 1-5 favorite Polish Numbers. Beginning of the race, a real sizzler. The two colts going 21-4 for the quarter, the half in 45. Nice Ruler, a dark brown colt by Aloma's Ruler, out of the Nice Dancer mare Cranarine. Nice Ruler was ridden by Jacinto Vasquez and is owned by the Tornetta Racing Partnership. One more race now from Gulfstream this past weekend. The $100,000 1.16 Broward Handicap for 3-year-olds and up. There are some familiar names in the field among both the horses and the trainers. Moving on the rail, the James Bracken trainee Primal, the favorite in the Red Silks of Tartan Farm. Also here, the second choice, Norquester, conditioned by Sonny Hine. With the call of the Broward, here's Ross Morton.
They come toward the top of the stretch. Otocha continues to dig in and hold the lead. Norquester, and there goes Primal, making a bid out in the center of the track. Here comes Primal, forging up after the leader. There's an eighth of a mile to go. Otocha gamely trying to hold on, but Primal with early fires has aim on the leader. These two will battle it out down to the wire. 16th of a mile to go. Primal coming on to get the lead, draws away 3 parts of a length. Otocha's second, and Wonderloaf was third.
That's 3 in a row for the Florida native Primal, whose career earnings now total over $694,000. The base son of Maudlin out of the Grousestock mare Pearl was bred in Florida by Tartan Farms and ridden by the veteran Early Fires. Up north to New York now in the Big A, the Grade 3 6-furlong Coaltown Breeders Cup at Aqueduct. And on the lead is Once Wild. He finished 10th, you might remember, in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. But it's a much better day for him this day. Butch Lenzini's the trainer, Angel Cordero the rider. And Once Wild went off as a heavy 1-5 favorite and demonstrated why as he crossed the wire 5.5 lengths in front of the rush to the field in the Coaltown Breeders' Cup. Once Wild is a 5-year-old horse by Balsky out of the What a Pleasure mare Erotica, bred in Florida by Waldemar Farms and now owned by Gary Morano. Last week, Lane's Inn Farm in Versailles, Kentucky announced its January Trainer of the Month, Southern California-based conditioner Jay Robbins. That's right, the same Jay Robbins who started February off with Flying Continental's Grade 1 win in the Strub Stakes, our feature race earlier. But the award was for Robbins' stable's outstanding performance on one very wet weekend in mid-January. That Saturday, January 14th, Jay sent out Razor Stanza to take the Grade 2 San Carlos by a length. And then on the next day, it was the Grade 2 San Fernando, and Flying Continental completed the stakes sweep for the weekend. An amazing weekend for a trainer who credits one special person for all his success.
I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time around my father, who had a strictly racetrack practice. He practiced solely on thoroughbreds for many years. Consequently, I was exposed to a number of trainers, and I was exposed to his expertise diagnosing soundness and treatment. And that was probably the greatest benefit I'd received, probably having been around my father more than having worked for other trainers.
But the Robbins family's involvement in racing doesn't end with Jay and his father. It seems as though every member is somehow involved in the sport.
My youngest brother, Tom, is the racing secretary at Santa Anita, Del Mar, and Oak Tree. And my brother, Don, is the general manager at Hollywood Park. And my brother, David, is an attorney who does a lot of horse-related work.
Perhaps all that experience will assist Robbins in training what he feels to be the best horse he's ever had in his barn, a 3-year-old colt named Stylish King.
He ran 4th in a stake over at Hollywood this fall and bucked a shin. We stopped and fired the shin. And he's back in training now, having breezed for the first time 2 days ago.
And you think he'll be heard from this spring?
Hopefully this spring, if he's up to it. If not, he'll receive all the time he needs. Because I've never had a horse like this horse. And chances are I never will again. Consequently, I'll try to do right by him.
Jay Robbins, who's had a remarkable January and off to a pretty good start in February. Well, Dave Johnson is next with Horse Talk. His guest, top race rider Eddie Delahoussaye. Stay with us. Dave Johnson was also at Santa Anita this past weekend for the Shoes Final Ride and for this week's feature on Horse Talk.
Talking horses with Eddie Delahoussaye. Eddie, we could talk about the 2 Kentucky Derbies you won, Sonny's Halo and Gato del Sol, but let's talk about 2 races that America watched. First of all, the first $1 million thoroughbred race, that was the Arlington Million, and secondly, Shoemaker's last race. Now, any comparisons there?
Well, the only comparison between both of them is that we both rode against each other in those races, and Shoe beat me in those in the Million. And yesterday, when I rode against him in the last race of Shoe's career, I wound up winning, and it was only $100,000. I wish it would have been $1 million race. I'd have got even with him.
Let's go back to the first Arlington Million, though. The Bart and John Henry coming through the stretch. Did you think you won it?
I wasn't sure. Tell you the truth, Dave, I wasn't sure, and Shu wasn't sure. It was very close. And we were both hoping one of us, you know, he won it, I won it. I was hoping I won it, but unfortunately I didn't.
And in Shoemaker's last ride, the legend's last trip to the post, coming through the stretch, you were in all kinds of trouble behind a wall of horses.
Yes, Fernando Toro's horse kind of ducked in on me at the 8th pole, and I had to maneuver my way out, and I was lucky to find a hole down the last 16th of a mile, and my horse really excelled, and we got the job done. And I'd have liked to see Shu win it, but you know, this is every man for themselves win this kind of business.
Now, one more question. When Shoemaker is a trainer, will you ride for him?
Sure. I want to, he's about 55,000 ahead of me. Maybe I can win a stake for him.
Talking horses with Eddie Delahoussaye. More horse talk next week.
Thank you, Dave. Our 1990 Budweiser Racing Across America Series on ESPN makes its season debut this Saturday. We'll head to the other coast, to Florida. Live coverage of the Hutchison Stakes. Big Grade 3 event, 7 furlong test for the 3-year-olds, and we're expecting Rhythm, the juvenile champion, to be in that field. Telecast starts at 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. And then on Sunday, looking ahead, want to remind you on ESPN at 4:30 Eastern, you'll want to have your tape players set for this one. It's our annual Eclipse Award special featuring the 1989 Year in Review. Caesars World has announced that it has taken over the sponsorship of the historic United Nations Handicap. The race to be run at the Atlantic City Racecourse on July 21st will be a $500,000 event and will be covered on ABC Sports. And the California Bred Horse of the Year is the Eclipse Award-winning older mare Brown Bess, as announced at the CTBA's annual banquet held this past weekend at Santa Anita. And Al Nasser, the good stallion, has been moved to Lanes Inn Farm to stand for 1990. It brings the Lanes Inn roster stallions now up to a total of 18. And we'll look forward to seeing you this week from Florida on the Hutchison Stakes live on ESPN and the Eclipse Special on Sunday. Thanks for joining us. See you next week on the Digest.
Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest, the weekly national report on thoroughbred racing, has been brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's $10 million championship. By the Illinois Department of Agriculture, promoting Illinois registered horses year-round. And by Caesars Palace Las Vegas, relive the legend. Ground transportation provided by Thrifty Car Rental. For reservations at over 700 locations worldwide, call Thrifty at 1-800-4CARS. Statistics courtesy of the Daily